The first time she said it, I thought she hated me. She was leaning against the hallway wall, arms crossed, sunlight cutting across her face through the apartment window. Her voice was calm, almost amused. "You're late again." It wasn't what she said. It was how she said it. Like she knew something I didn't. Like she could see straight through me. Before we get into this story, if you believe small acts of kindness can change a life, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Welcome to Your Channel Name, where we share real stories that remind us how powerful simple kindness can be. Now let me tell you what really happened. I had just moved to Chicago after graduating college. New city. New job. New pressure. My roommate, Jake, was an old friend from high school who offered me his spare room when I landed an entry-level marketing job downtown. I was grateful. But I was also drowning. The job was demanding. My boss expected perfection. The commute was long. And no matter how hard I tried, I always felt behind. Late to meetings. Late to deadlines. Late to life. Jake's older sister, Emily, was staying with us temporarily while she looked for an apartment. She was a nurse at a local hospital, working unpredictable shifts. She had this calm energy about her. The kind of person who didn't talk much but seemed to understand everything. That first week, I came home past midnight after staying late at work. I fumbled with my keys, exhausted and irritated. As I stepped into the hallway, there she was. Leaning against the wall. "You're late again," she said with a small smile. I forced a laugh. "Yeah. Work." She nodded slowly. "Don't let them take everything from you." I didn't know what she meant. I mumbled something and went to bed. The next night, same thing. I got home late. She was in the hallway again, this time holding a mug of tea. "You're late again." "Big presentation tomorrow," I said. "Have to be ready." She studied me for a second. "Did you eat?" I hesitated. I grabbed a granola bar. Without another word, she walked into the kitchen. I stood there awkwardly. A few minutes later, she came back with a plate of leftover pasta. "Sit," she said gently. I almost protested. But something in her tone made me obey. We sat at the small kitchen table. She didn't ask about my job. She didn't lecture me. She just listened as I vented about my boss, the pressure, the fear of messing up. When I finally stopped talking, she said, "You know, being kind to yourself counts too." That hit harder than I expected. Over the next few weeks, it became a routine. I'd rush home, stressed and frustrated. She'd be somewhere nearby. And sooner or later, I'd hear it. "You're late again." Sometimes she'd have food ready. Sometimes she'd just hand me a glass of water. Once, she left a sticky note on the fridge that said, "You're doing better than you think." She never made it a big deal. She never acted like she was rescuing me. It was just quiet kindness. One Friday night, everything fell apart. I had worked on a campaign proposal for 2 weeks. I poured everything into it. Stayed late every night. Skipped meals. Barely slept. That afternoon, my boss called me into his office. He didn't yell. That almost made it worse. "This isn't what we're looking for," he said flatly. "We need stronger ideas." "I thought you were ready for this." I nodded, pretending to understand, pretending not to feel like I'd been punched in the chest. I left work early for once. Not because I wanted to. But because I couldn't breathe. When I walked into the apartment, it was still light outside. Emily was by the window, scrolling on her phone. She looked up, surprised. Then she leaned back against the wall and smiled softly. "You're early," she said. I tried to speak, but my voice cracked. I dropped my bag on the floor and sank into a chair. "I'm not cut out for this," I whispered. She didn't rush to fix it. She didn't tell me I was wrong. She just pulled up a chair and sat across from me. What happened? I told her everything. The rejection. The doubt. The feeling that I was a fraud. When I finished, I expected advice. A motivational speech. Something dramatic. Instead, she said, "That must have hurt." And for some reason, those 4 words broke me. I realized no one had said that to me. Not at work. Not even to myself. I had been so busy trying to prove I was strong that I forgot I was allowed to feel hurt. Tears came before I could stop them. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You know what I see?" she said quietly. "I see someone who cares too much to quit. Someone who stays late because he wants to do it right. That's not weakness. That's heart." I stared at her. "Then why does it feel like I'm failing?" She smiled. "Because you think your worth depends on being perfect." Her words stayed with me all weekend. The next Monday, I went back to work with something different inside me. Not confidence exactly. But steadiness. I asked my boss for feedback instead of avoiding him. I asked a coworker for help instead of pretending I knew everything. I left the office at a reasonable time. When I got home that evening, the hallway was empty. For a moment, I felt strangely disappointed. Then I saw a note taped to my bedroom door. "You're right on time." A few days later, Emily told us she had found her own apartment. She'd be moving out by the end of the month. I didn't realize how much I had come to rely on her presence until I imagined the apartment without her quiet support. On her last night, we ordered pizza and sat around the living room. Jake joked about finally getting his bathroom back. We all laughed. Later, as she carried a box to her car, I followed her outside. "Hey," I said, awkwardly. "I never really thanked you." She tilted her head. "For what?" "For noticing. For caring. For not making me feel small." She shrugged gently. Everyone needs someone to lean against the wall and remind them they're human. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "You did more than that." She smiled. "Promise me something." "What?" "When you see someone else drowning, don't wait for them to ask. Just be there. Even if all you say is, 'You're late again.'" After she left, the apartment felt quieter. But something inside me felt stronger. Months passed. Work got better. I grew into my role. I stopped measuring my value by how late I stayed at the office. One evening, a new intern named Marcus joined our team. Fresh out of college. Nervous. Eager to impress. I started noticing the signs. The way he skipped lunch. The way he stayed after everyone else left. The dark circles under his eyes. One night, I stayed back on purpose. He was hunched over his computer, staring at the screen. "You're late again," I said lightly. He looked up, startled. Then he laughed nervously. "Yeah. Just trying to get this right." I walked over and leaned against the cubicle wall. "Did you eat?" He hesitated. I nodded toward the break room. "Come on. Let's grab something." We sat at a small table with vending machine sandwiches. He told me about the pressure he felt. The fear of disappointing everyone. I listened. When he finished, I said the same 4 words that once saved me. "That must have hurt." His shoulders dropped, just a little. Like he had been carrying something heavy and finally set it down. In that moment, I understood something powerful. Kindness isn't loud. It doesn't always come with grand gestures or dramatic speeches. Sometimes it's just showing up. Leaning against the wall. Noticing someone struggle. Offering food. Offering words. Offering space. Years later, I ran into Emily at a coffee shop downtown. She looked the same. Calm. Steady. We hugged, and I told her about Marcus. About how he'd grown into one of our strongest team members. She listened, eyes shining. You passed it on, she said. I shook my head. You started it. She smiled. That's the thing about kindness. It doesn't belong to one person. It moves. And she was right. It moves from hallway to kitchen table. From one tired heart to another. From someone who feels like they're failing to someone who needs to hear they're enough. So if you're watching this and feeling behind in life, if you think you're late again, maybe you're not. Maybe you're right on time. And maybe someone around you is waiting for a small act of kindness that could change everything. Lean against the wall. Notice. Listen. Say the words. Because you never know whose life you might steady with something simple. Let's be the reason someone feels seen today. And let's keep kindness moving forward, one quiet moment at a time.